Hello, everybody, and welcome to, well, not quite GWiz. GWiz Live? Not quite live? I don't know really what I'm going to call this, but I mentioned in my last GWiz episode that I was going to do a Gotham City Underworld tier maker. Basically, there were so many figures to go through, and I tried to talk through most of them, at least for Pulp, at least for Modern, but there's just so many figures out there that I am a visual person. It's not ideal to go through all these on a podcast form, so I thought, hey, you know what? I'll record a quick video, or maybe not so quick with all the figures, and go through basically all the Gotham City Underworld figures that you would want to consider putting on your team. I'm hoping this is kind of the quintessential video. Oh, good timing by my son. If you hear my kids in the background, I should remember to not have their playroom right next to my recording area. But the plan is for this to be the quintessential Gotham City Underworld, at least for today in October. We won't have any more DC new sets coming out for a bit, but we have some OP kits and who knows with Iconics. But basically, this is the go-to for, hey, should I consider this for my Gotham City Underworld team? A little history about me as a player. I mentioned this a little bit on the podcast, but if you know anything about me, I've been playing a lot of Avengers lately. Avengers Swap, well, that Captain America has retired, and I have now kind of taken upon myself to learn everything I can about Gotham City Underworld, because one, I love the figures that we've gotten so far. I used to play GCU all the time, back with Fast Forces Penguin and Super Rare Penguin, popping out all those little penguins and going across town and having some fun. So, to sum this up, the way I'm going to do it is S is basically an option you're almost always going to play. You are going to try to build your team around these pieces. Now, you might not be able to play every single one of these, but you're going to try. A is great options, so pieces that, okay, if you can't fit them, that's not the worst, but you want to try to fit them in. B are good options, so these are ones that you're probably not immediately reaching for, but if you need to fill in the team, they're not bad. C is your very, very situational pieces. Ones that really only work with certain iterations of teams, and you really don't want to play them unless you have a very specific reason to play them. And then D, which is where I think a lot of pieces are going, is just don't. Do not try to play this. It is, even situationally, it's probably not good. I think the way I look at tier makers is I look at what is something in D, and that's kind of what I'm hoping I could at least help you all with, is you could see the tier maker, watch a video, and say, oh, okay, these are the pieces I really don't need to be trying to reach for because they're really not that great. We are going to be covering essentially two tier makers today. We are doing basically the one you see now, which is the full Gotham City Underworld tier maker. But then I have also made a, not in presentation mode, a kind of keyword cheat tier maker. This one will fly through, but basically I've gotten every single figure, there may be one or two I missed, that Harley Quinn, the Uncommon, can bring into GCU based off of her keywords. So that was my other goal, was to kind of create this list to see just how many figures that are not GCU initially she could bring in, and my goodness, is there a lot. But before we jump the gun, let us just cover, starting at the beginning, with Goons, every single Gotham City Underworld, and let's just go through and rank them. Now, for the Goons themselves, this one's a little tricky, because you want, how to phrase this? You don't want to main force them unless someone generates them. There might be a case where you got 15 points and they're okay to add in. A Goon is one of those options. I would put him at B. I am not putting really a Goon higher than B for Gotham City Underworld because you don't really want to have to play them. They are good options. Some of them are going to be situational options, like if a Goon goes out, this Goon could come in. That's fine. Now, I know ideally all the Goons could be played on this team, right? You could swap into any of the Goons. I am only focusing on the GCU ones. If because I know you could swap to Coardian Thunderer, stuff like that, but I'm not worried about that right now. I'm talking about building your force out. Are you ever playing this goon? This goon has Empower, Poison, Plasticity. He's okay. That's why I kind of have him in B. Arguably, I would probably... it's really just because of the Empower. Yeah, the Empower is really what I'm reaching for here to power up the Thorn Vines that you might make from Poison Ivy. Up next is Joker Goon. Joker Goon is really situational. You probably don't ever play him. He does have... That is incorrect here. He does not have Superman enemy. He has Batman enemy, so ignore that. But he is really... You don't ever really play this one. He is brought in, and because he's brought in, he's situational. I'm going to say the same for Mr. Polar Bear. He just doesn't do enough to main force him, and because he's got Dolphin, don't get me wrong, it's great, but because of Battle Fury, you can't carry him. So you can't carry him up on your initial crossover with the crew, so Polar Bear is a situational. Up next, we have the Gorilla Boss, and I actually kind of... Polar Bear should have been after Gorilla Boss, but forgive me. Do not ever reach for Gorilla Boss. He is not good. Not good whatsoever. Let's see. Riddler Goon. Definitely, arguably as important, if not more important than the Goon. And I will rank these, for the most part, far left is better than the right. So I will actually put him ahead of this Goon. Mostly because he has Sidestep and he has the Underworld TA. So he can enable things for your GCU team. If you don't have easy access to Underworld, for 15 points, you get a Sidestep and Goon who could do that. I don't mind it. That's a good option. The White Rabbit Goon, you're not reaching for that. That's going to be situational. If you want to build a team that's more... You need the support, sure, but I don't think you're reaching for that for the Goons. Alright, so we're done with Goons. Thank goodness. Let's hop over to the Riddler. The Riddler is bad. Not good. Do not reach for the Riddler at all. And I should mention with this list, I'm mostly focused on Modern, because I did go over Pulp in on the podcast. So that brings us to Cyborgman, because I think he's much better in Pulp than I think he is in Modern. Modern, I think he just gets blanked. So I think he is really a situational option, probably better than the Goons, because you might want him to be your taxi. And that's okay, right? He could carry 6, that's okay. He can move 8, not bad. That's half the map or more. Really, really not bad. But I don't honestly know if I'm playing him. I think there's better taxi options, which we will get to. Maybe not, maybe taxi options, I should say, if you're taxiing by someone brought in with our first S piece, which is by far number 28, Harley Quinn, the Uncommon. The reason she is S is because she enables Gotham City Underworld to have other pieces. Once again, her trait is when establishing theme teams, Harley Quinn may choose a character that shares a keyword with her. That character gains the Gotham City Underworld keyword. So it isn't just they don't count, they get the keyword. So when it comes to her free retail, pseudo retail I should say, anything, the other characters we're about to get to, she adds them. She is the enabler. Even without that trait, she's very good for, which is crazy if you look at her dial, just purely her dial, which I guess I could show that. You know, looking at just her dial here, you see the leap climb, you see the quake, and you're like, oh, well, I mean, that's nice. But she's really one of the main leaderships you can have. This trait here, the BFF GFS, is really good. Batman enemy is always great, and a team player is crucial, because if you are playing one of these guys, one of these goons, being able to give her Underworld is very, very good. Because then she is now your taxi. Because these guys effectively will only ever carry one person, right? Gotham City Underworld says you have passenger 1, or you have passenger 2 if they're less points than you. Well, Harley is 50 points, so that means she could carry more options than the goons. So it is something to consider. But either way, Harley is the one of the main linchpins for this set to really work. Gotham City Underworld to really work. Up next is Polka Dot Man. Polka Dot Man. Oh, Polka Dot Man. I think he's at least B tier. Like, he's okay. He's good. But I'm wavering on that. So the reason Polka Dot Man is okay is because he gives you access to barrier, or he gives you access to TK. He does have the capabilities of he needs 2 hits to die, effectively, because his trait, once again, is Polka Dot Man takes a maximum of 2 damage from effects when Polka Dot Man is KO'd after resolutions. Other friendly characters that have the Suicide Squad keyword heals 2. So who cares about the second one? He takes 2 hits because he has 3 clicks. You get to choose at the beginning of the game which one you're playing him on, because they're all green. So you could play him on barrier, or you could play him on TK. And then you might be able to roll and turn him to that. That's really mostly when he's taking damage. That's good because this whole Gotham City Underworld does not have a lot of access to TK and not a ton of access to barrier. So he's good. You know, I'm thinking now he's probably situational, and probably more situational than better than Cyborgman. He also has team player, which is very nice. So very situational, because if you need the barrier, he's there. If you need the TK, he's there. But that's kind of it. Killer Croc for 90 points. This one is tough. He's a heavy hitter. He allows you to put out water terrain. If he's in water terrain, he could do, you know, better Blades Claws. He could charge, and kind of like with Killer Croc, when he uses charge, if he occupies water terrain before moving, place him in another square of water within 4 and then charge. So if you play right, that could be like a 9 square charge. I don't think it's good enough. I think you probably don't try to build that. I think there's other pieces here that are arguably better. Namely, we'll get to a few of them. But this team is not about kind of working around the water trait and trying to make that work. But that doesn't mean someone couldn't build that. But I just wouldn't try with Killer Croc. Lincoln March is interesting because it is a cheap leadership, which we already have with Harley, but could create Court of Owl Assassins on click 3, which is just okay. I am not really reaching for Lincoln March because Lincoln March just dies. Lincoln March has no reducers, no rollouts. He has Mastermind traded, but that's about it. And Gotham City Underworld kind of gets that for free anyway with a certain person we're going to get to down the line. So I'm not... I don't think Lincoln March is actually that great, guys. I think he's a D. You don't try to build around him. Up next, we get the other reason why this set is just so good. Like, Gotham City Underworld is so good. These two, which kudos to WizKids for making 2 from the show. I believe this is the show version. Making both of them just work so well together and so competitive. She creates the Thorn Vines. I've gone over extensively in multiple podcast episodes. Remember, you play her at 80, so this is kind of a 130 duo that you have here. Play her at 80. She makes so much stuff work. She is kind of the linchpin for all of this. Doesn't mean you couldn't play Harley with other stuff, but I would just... She's arguably one of the best figures in the... Not arguably, she is the best figure, I think. So... just keep that in mind. She is an S tier for sure. The Joker. So, the Joker, just a little reminder of what the Joker looks like. Oops. Reminder of what the Joker looks like. This is a very Joker dial. Like, huge Joker dial here. He's not very good, in my opinion. He doesn't do anything that is interesting enough to want to play, even situationally. I might be wrong, but I'm okay with being wrong. I just don't like him, and I don't think you should try to play around him for 60 points. The Jokester, though, I think is great. I think that's our first A piece. I think for 50 points, having access to Perplex potentially 3 times, Prob, and the ability to kind of limit their access to rolling and re-rolling and replacing is great. He has an outwit. He's not super easy to KO. He's got combat reflexes, so I guess he's kind of easy to KO. But honestly, if you look at this section down here, outside of some maybe things Harley might bring in, there's not a lot of primes that you could play. It's him or Scarecrow. And we'll get to Scarecrow. But Jokester, meh. Sorry, Jokester, yeah. I was thinking of Scarecrow. Jokester, I'm okay with it. I think it's a great piece. I don't think you try to build around him. Once again, that's the point. Do not try to build around him. But he's a great option. Like, he's someone that if you need 50 points, you need Perplex, you need Prob, you need Outwit, he gives you all of those. And he's not a terrible attacker. Two-Face, I'm kind of on the fence about. I think Two-Face, and obviously the two Two-Faces go hand in hand. You don't play one without the other. He is an okay offensive piece. Like, I think he's good. I don't know if he's great. I will say that the Prime, or not Prime, the B version of Two-Face is interesting. Because of his whole double or nothing thing, when he would be hit by an attack, it's a critical hit or a critical miss. So having him lumped together with all of these, so that way if they're like energy exploding, he could kind of help mitigate that a bit, which I guess arguably could be really bad. I think that's why I'm putting him in B. It's a good option. It's someone to consider. He has an okay firepower with his energy explosion. 9 range effectively because of 4 movement running shot, or 5 movement running, 4 movement running shot, 5 range, dual target energy explosion is pretty nice. But he's just okay. Harley at 25 points I would consider as an S, maybe an A. I don't know if I fully want to commit to it being an S, because S you try to build around. So I think I'm okay with Harley being an incredibly good A. The reason being is, once again, her trait is Justice Lords. It's not Justice Lords, but it's what Justice Lords used to be back in Rebirth or Harley or whichever one it was. If you were the first player when an opposing character is damaged by a friendly attack, after resolutions, deal that opposing character 1 unavoidable damage. If they're not KO'd, heal them 1 click. She has this unique modifier, which you probably won't get on this team because you're popping up bystanders, but you know what? Maybe. If your opponent's force has more characters than yours, friendly characters modify attack and damage +1, which is great. You are not playing her at 65. You're absolutely playing her at 25, which gives you Empower and Support, which is pretty great. She gives you access to Underworld TA. She has Batman enemies, so she kind of makes the Riddler goons, these goons here, a little obsolete, because you just 10 more points get her, which gives you Empower, Support, and all that other stuff. Keep in mind, this Justice Lord's trait does kind of help you get around stop clicks, at least single stop clicks, so like Apocalypse, stuff like that. If you were first player, you get to hit them, and then they immediately go to the, you hit them to stop click, and then they take this 1 damage and they're dead. So very good against those type of pieces, who is pretty prevalent. Definitely prevalent. Poison Ivy, I think, is what I would call situational. This Poison Ivy has the whole opposing terrain markers, you score victory points. She's not great at 25, to be honest. The whole stealth plasticity, and if she makes terrain markers, people adjacent are +1 defense. That's nice, but other than that, I don't think she does enough. She could give you barrier for 25 points, so arguably better than Polka Dot Man. Hence why I have her at C, not necessarily because she is situational. Those are really the only reasons you'd be bringing her in. King Shark, I think, is interesting. King Shark is better than Killer Croc but a lot more expensive if you're playing him at 115. I don't know if you do play him at 115, to be honest, because that would put you, with these two, put you at what, 245, and you really don't have much wiggle room for anything else. Though you could play, I guess, with Harley, and that takes you to 270, and then you got 30 points to add some equipment. So that's not the worst, but it's definitely not the best. Yeah, that's definitely not the best. But I think he is good enough to be a B option. He is good, and I think he's definitely better than these four. So I do like Killer Croc in that sense, that if you want to play this with a Thorns, and you want to play this with Thorn Vines, but you also want to have a kind of a heavier hit, King Shark is pretty good. I mentioned this on the podcast with Catwoman. I think she's definitely an A. She's a great piece. She gives you access to the Batman Ally TA, which is great. Giving people stealth on your team if they've got team players, great. And she's very hard to kill, which is great. Her downsides are the fact that she doesn't really do much. Once again, as a reminder, man, I hate when I try to go between screens. She doesn't do much, right? She finally has a move and attack on click 2. But besides that, she's kind of just your perplex piece for 90. I am going to try her out with different equipment. Equipment might enable her to be a bit better. Not just a bit better, but we don't have a ton of incredibly good offensive pieces, or offensive equipment, I should say. So it remains to be seen about how great she is, but a Don't Die piece that takes 9 hits to KO is something to note. One thing I will mention is the fact that when Catwoman is damaged after resolutions generate a Cat bystander, that is not a may, that is a must. So if you're going against Black Lanterns, Carnage Silver Surfer, which should be pretty much everywhere, that could be detrimental because they're just going to keep KOing those little cats, which I think they only have super senses. That could be bad. But I think the benefits outweigh the negatives. Having a Don't Die piece that could tie people up and be just nasty is pretty great. And I believe she has access to the Bat Belt if you wanted to just play that for free. I believe it's Batman Family. Let me double check that real quick. Survey says with the utility belt, it is Batman Family. So she could have Batman Family for free. That doesn't really give her a ton. It gives her like Smoke Cloud. Smoke Cloud is free, or Incap, Plasticity, or Force Blast Elite Climb, Range Combat Expert, minimum range 4. That's good. Shape Change with move through targets. That actually is really good. Regen and support. Being a support figure would be nice. She can't use the regen because she can't heal. So having that just for free, sure, right? Like that's not bad if you can't afford to equip her. The Penguin, I would also, and I've got these a little bit out of order. The Penguin is next. I would also put him up at A, just because of everything he can do. He gives you extra goons, which is good. At the beginning of the game, if you're not, well, he gives you goons if you're not first player. So if you're playing him and Harley, you either get Justice Lords or you get 2 goons, which, it could be somewhat beneficial. Trick Umbrellas is very nice, being able to lay out the smoke cloud for free. Giving someone like a Plant or Harley or someone Blades Claws Precision Strike is great. Or giving just them Energy Explosion Knockback is also incredibly good. So that's why I have him up here as great. He is a great piece that I would probably try to build around. Frank the Plant, though, I understand how he works. I understand that he could be carried and given non-free actions afterwards. I would have to consider if there's a good equipment that enables him a bit better. Because taking non-free actions after being carried is great, right? The problem is that he does die fairly quickly. He is only 5 clicks long. He has a stop click, but he only has toughness. But if there's a good enough equipment that can make his non-free action after he's been carried across the board with with Poison Ivy, you know, there might be something there with that. Giving him blades, giving him a special blades or something. You know, I don't hate that. That makes him a good piece, not a situational piece. Jervis Tech, 55 points. He does interesting things, but I honestly don't think it's good enough to be played. He does die fairly quickly with his Super Senses Mastermind Willpower, but that could be outwitted, and then he's just shot for 4 damage and dies. Not on my golden ratio of 55 points, you know, 10 points per click. Kite Man. Good old Kite Man is our next S level piece. Kite Man at 25 points is just great. He gives, if you're outdoors, all your Gotham City Underworld characters flight, which is just good. That mitigates the whole Underworld TA problem. But then, other friendly characters with the Gotham City Underworld within 4 squares can use Mastermind, but only to choose Kite Man regardless of adjacency. When they do, you place them adjacent to Kite Man. That's awesome. Having to deal 5 damage to him to take him out for 25 points is double the golden ratio that I've listed. That's 5 points per click. And he gives Mastermind to him. So he's a figure you're assuming is going to die pretty quickly. But that might give life to some of these other pieces that you're playing. 25 points, that's awesome. And there might be an equipment you could give him. I don't know if I honestly would equip him, but you never know. There might be something you can assign him that's pretty okay. Up next is Golden Glider. I don't mind Golden Glider, but I don't think she's very good. I don't think you play her at 30 because she doesn't have the cool Hypersonic. Hypersonic's where it's at for her. She has Empower. She does have that cool blades with targeting basically everyone adjacent. There might be something with that. So I'm going to put that at like the bottom of situational so that way you don't think she's just terrible. At 30 points, you could do worse for 4 clicks, charge, 10 blades, which you could copy Batman Enemy to make that an 11 or 12, however you want to do it. But going through characters, being able to kind of deal some damage, having that super senses that creates that ice block isn't bad. So it's very situational though. So just keep that in mind. Up next we got Deceased Joker. Deceased Joker's okay. I didn't really like him in my set review. You know, Poison, well, actually he only really gets that on his last click, his zombie clicks. I don't think he's worth it for the 60 points. He doesn't do enough. Now, you could bring him over when you move across the map, because he does have the trait, there's a living rent-free in your head. Leap, climb, plasticity, sidestep. Once per turn when an adjacent friendly character begins a move or is placed, after resolutions you may place the Joker adjacent to that character. That's okay. Like, that's enough to place him and he can make an attack. I don't know if that's, like, as good as Frank the Plant, but it's enough to put him in B. I'll put him next to Frank the Plant. He's 10 points more, but if he dies, he becomes much better. Well, somewhat better. So I don't hate it. Team player can enable some things, so I'll put him up there next to Frank the Plant. Up next we have Poison Ivy number 99. You don't reach for this one. It's not very good. Even situationally, I don't think it's very good at all. Riddler with the War of Jokes the War of Jokes mystery card, I do think is interesting. I do think it's very situational because he on his own is not very good. If you could give him a ring, he would not get the free because he doesn't have any of the keywords, but situationally, that allows him to at least do something, because without it, he's not doing anything. He just kind of gives him the mystery card and then he's bad. As much as I want to put Calendar Man on situational, I just can't, because he's much better than situational. I'm going to move Calendar Man up to A. I think he is... he's just so good. He is Cosmo for cheaper because of his trait. And here, I'll show you show you the different abilities that he has. Once again, he has prob and regen on its own. He probably will never use regen with that dial. He's got stealth, just traded. On even number days, he has improved movement characters. Otherwise, on odd days, he has choose an opposing character within range of line of fire until your next turn, modify defense, and decrease single d6 rolls by -1. That's great. That's just great, period. Precision strike in general, but then if it's a Sunday, Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, he has energy explosion dealing penetrating damage. Otherwise, modify his attack and damage +2. Yeah, that's fine. He doesn't have sidestep or anything, so he's kind of stuck. What you would play him for is this next one. If the game began on an even number month, he has free. Choose a standard power. Opposing characters within range can't use the chosen power until your next turn. So you can choose super senses, or shape change, or prob, or mastermind, whatever. It gets around safeguard outwit. It gets around so many things. It's great. That's only on even number months. So this month, you could do it. Next month, you can't do it. If you can't do it, he can use prob twice a turn and may use it regardless of range. So he still has to have line of fire, but prob twice, sure. So that's why I have him at A. It is very reliant on what month you're in. But if it's an even month, man, is he great. Fantastic. Up next, we have Deathstroke. Deathstroke is interesting, I think, more on an assassin team. He is not someone you probably reach for on this team. I might be wrong. He does a lot for 40 points. You do not play him at 100. But at 40, he does a lot. Charge, sidestep, either ESD range combat or close combat expert and combat reflexes. That's great. That whole trait where he gets to, if they move through one or more squares adjacent to Deathstroke and you roll d6 and deal that much damage is great. But he also just kind of dies pretty quickly. So that's why I don't think you reach for him. He might be more situational, but I don't think he's someone you reach for on this type of team. Killer Moth is technically next. Killer Moth is someone you don't reach for. He's not good. 35 points isn't bad, but yeah, I don't think he's that great. You don't try to play him. Hush, on the other hand, I am a fan of Hush because he does give your characters Safeguard Outwit, which could be very clutch. So I think he does go in the good category, probably above the Goons, probably next to Joker. I think he's good at 60 because he has regen support. If he uses either, he can move up to the D6 result. That's okay. But he does have the free choose another friendly character within range and line of fire that shares a keyword with Hush. Place that chosen character into a score adjacent to Hush. So that is he has a 5 range. So that is effectively a, let's see, if they are in square 1, he is 5 away. So he can move them 6. So that's like a 6 square TK. Without having to have the different lines of fire. You just need lines of fire between him and one character. That's good. That's very good. That plus him having the protected safeguard outwit for people in range that share keyword with him makes him good. Hence why I have him at B. I'm going to try to build a little bit around Hush because I think protected outwit is great, especially so they can't outwit the mastermind that Kite Man gives, but also that 6 range TK, pseudo TK, is good. And he's not easy to kill. Shape Change and Mastermind is pretty good. Now the one problem is that it's other friendly characters within range that share a keyword have Safeguard Outwit, so he doesn't have Safeguard Outwit himself, so they could just outwit that. So you would really have to protect Hush a little bit. Queen of Fables, no. Do not reach for her. She is not very good. Just period. She doesn't do enough to warrant playing. Up next, I have the Joker. This is Con LE Joker. I don't see... He does some interesting things, but for 75 points, you do not reach for him. Now we're going into Batman Team Up. With Batman Team Up, there are some different interesting options, I would say. Some very, very interesting options. First off, we have the 008 Harley Quinn. She gives Batman enemy Suicide Squad. That instantly puts her up for me at great. Because at 25, she gives you Perplex. She gives you that, which means your plants, anyone who dies will heal an adjacent person who also has Suicide Squad, and your whole team effectively will have Suicide Squad. I mean, look at this. She has Batman enemy and Suicide Squad. It's just not on this little icon. So like everyone here has access to Batman enemy, which is great. So they all have Suicide Squad, a lesser known, lesser used team ability. I do have her team up here listed. It's for Arkham Asylum or Suicide Squad themed, so you're probably not trying to play it. So don't try to fit that in feeling like you have to. But I wanted to include the team ups just in case you wanted to try. Clayface at 50 isn't good, to be honest. Don't try to play Clayface. I'm going to try to zoom through some of these. Poison Ivy at 25 I would consider as situational. She gives Batman enemies stealth, which a lot of these can already use stealth a bit. But also Catwoman could also give stealth if they have team player. But besides that, she's really just poison and mind control. Now, she could deal poison. Well, no, only if she's played at 50. So I was going to say she could deal poison if she's been moved or placed. But no. So she's definitely situational. The Penguin at 25, that gives Batman enemy. And once again, most of these pieces here, I'm only considering at lower points. 25 gives Batman enemy the Underworld TA. We already have access to that on certain things, so I don't think you really need to reach for it. It's situational, not a great situational, in the event that you want that access. But that's about all he does. His team up is Gotham City Underworld, so if you are only playing, you have the conditions met for this team up, it's not bad. If if the Penguin is part of the listed theme team, which is Gotham City Underworld, at the beginning of your turn, roll a d6. The Penguin can use the resulting effect until your next turn. 3 through 5, characters without Underworld can't carry more than one character. 6, characters without Underworld can't carry. That could be pretty good. There's a lot of carrying. There's a lot of, I bring everyone forward. There's a lot of that. There's a lot of carrying. Now, smaller mats makes it not as good, but that's something. Like, that is, gourd here. I would say board. A B for good is what I'm trying to say. Yeah, it's good. I don't know if I'm building around it because I don't know how my Gotham City team is going to look. But being able to give all your Batman enemy Underworld is great. But then potentially limiting your opponent from carrying people is also pretty good. All right, starting in with Catwoman. Catwoman, I don't think you really reach for, even at 25. 25, she only has flurry blades. She has precision strike. When she hits, roll a d6, 3 through 6, unequip a hit character. That might sound nice, but I don't think that's honestly that great. She doesn't give anything for Gotham City Underworld. Her team up is for Batman Family, so don't try that either, because you're not building that out of this. So, no, don't try with Catwoman. I will say with the Joker, I do like the Joker. I think he's good. I mentioned on the podcast, I think he's potentially playable even at 50. Primarily because he gives all of your Batman enemy figures Mystics, and Mystics is great right now. Mystics is very good right now. I don't know off the top of my head if that would enable you to equip a Soul Sword to one of these characters. I think it might. But either way, Soul Sword and benefit from the Soul Sword. But either way, giving even the plants, because the Thorn Vines also have Batman enemy, giving everyone Mystics is very good. That means if you're going against a Prime Spider-Man, you're going against Carnage Silver Surfer, they're not just immediately healing and feeling great about it. They're going to take that Mystics damage, and it's not going to feel great. Now, unless they get to Invincible, right? But Either way, 50 points, you're playing it for that trait. He does have just plasticity, poison. He doesn't do much after that, so you would have to give him something to really make him more useful. That's why he's not an instant S or an A for me. His team up is honestly not good. Don't reach for the team up. It's Arkham Asylum and Injustice. If he's part of that, he can use toughness. That's really all it does. So don't reach for the team up. That's why I listed here. Some of these team ups, you're like, oh, I want to go for it. No, don't go for that one. Up next is Scarecrow. They know how to make a Scarecrow, but they also don't know how to make a competitive one. This one is not great for 35 points. Sure, he can mind control stealth. He's got rally die on a 3. To use Smoke Cloud is free. That's nice, but you're probably got better tight on points. 35 is just not enough. 75 point Scarecrow is interesting because, as you can see in his icon, he has Sinestro Core, and so he would get you free access to a ring. So he's 75, but effectively worth 65 because you're saving 10 points. He's got Perplex. When he uses Perplex to target an opposing character after resolutions, you generate a hindering terrain marker in their square. Neat. And then he has, this big old trait. Let's take a look at it. Giant Reach 3, Poison. Smoke Cloud is free, but only generates you markers. Free, roll a d6. This turn, Scarecrow can use the listed effect, and when it does, it instead targets all opposing characters that occupy one of his generated markers, regardless of range, adjacency, or line of fire. 1 through 3 is Outwit. 4 through 6 is Mind Control. The reason why I don't have him, not going to rank him too high, is because he really doesn't have defensive powers. He's got ESD, and then he goes to these 4 clicks, which is just willpower, and then opposing characters within range using willpower only succeed on a 6. So that's not great. He's a 75 point piece that could die fairly quickly. I don't love it, but he does give you access to Sinestro Core. So I am going to put him up here, because I do think, and I will move this team up a little higher. I do think he's better than the Goons, but taking your Prime slot just to get Sinestro Core isn't great. There's other people we're going to have in our other tier maker that could really have access to some rings, so you can do something. Mr. Freeze is a no. 60 points is not enough for what he brings to the table. Killer Croc, man, I thought we just talked about this one. Oh, it's a worse Killer Croc. And kind of an uglier looking one than his other one. Like, look at those two. Ugh. Bane, this is not the Bane you're reaching for. This Bane is not very good, so don't try to reach for this one. His team up is Secret 6. You're not playing this team with Secret 6, so don't try it. The Riddler is a mission point Riddler. We've seen success with that with like Lucas Van Hollen's mystery point team. He's not good enough without mystery points, in my opinion, so you do not reach for him, because this is not GCU is not a mission point team. The Joker is not good. Don't reach for this Legacy Joker. And the same could be said about Harley. She has Charge, Flurry, Stealth, Super Senses, Poison, Smoke Cloud. Smoke Cloud is free to generate 2. Friendly characters within range have Safeguard Poison. Whoop-de-doo. Yeah, she's not good. Do not reach for Harley and Ivy. If they enabled some of this BFF stuff, I guess they do with Gotham City Underworld, but I'm not reaching for it. Lex Luthor and Joker at 50 points is interesting. They do kind of just get KO'd if you're not careful. But I don't think there's a lot of Batman Ally and Superman Ally being played, so they're probably going to have Safeguard Outwit a decent amount. So I would say that they are situational. If you can make it work on your team, that's great. No, because yeah, they don't get the cool like placement thing unless they're at 150 points, which you're not playing with this team. So very situational, borderline not playable. Because really it's just a prop piece with Mastermind that can pop into some other Lex or Joker. So, not really that amazing. Now, before we move on to the storyline OP kit for the Royal Flush Gang, you may have noticed I've added 2 more tokens. I realized very quickly that I forgot the 2021 convention exclusives. You may notice Punchline is not here because guess what? No one has made a token for Punchline because she's that bad. So don't worry about playing Punchline. She's not going to be on the list. So let's jump right into the Royal Flush ones. Now the Royal Flush ones I know haven't come out yet. They don't come out till December. And in my other list, I haven't even covered any Wheels of Vengeance or anything like that. So, but we know all the dials. We know everything about the OP kit. So I figured I might as well go through them a little bit. I talked about it on the podcast. A lot of these aren't that great. They're cool to work together, sure. But I don't feel like I'm reaching for most of these. Like Ace has a good length of dial. He's a giant, 50 points, 19 defend, all of that stuff, but he's honestly not good. You're probably not reaching for him. He doesn't do enough. 10 is kind of outwit prob, which she can use from range 6, and she can basically choose any improved targeting ability, but outside of that she doesn't do anything else. That's kind of it. A range of 3 for improved targeting is no bueno. Her team up is Batman Family, so you're also not reaching for that. Jack, on the other hand, can use Blade's Claws from range and close. That's honestly not that bad. A Perplex, ESD, okay. When an opposing character attacks and misses, after resolutions deal 1 penetrating for each diamond. Displayed on characters in your starting area, probably not going to be good. So no, even with that Blade's Claws, I'm not reaching for that. Queen, on the other hand, man, these Royal Flush are neat in nature, and they probably work really well together, but this just is not it. Like, she just doesn't do enough. And honestly, I think that's going to be the same with King. He's a charge piece. He does have leadership shape change. He can move around the Royal Gang's kind of suits that they have printed on their cards, but even that's not good. The only Royal Flush you're probably reaching for is Ace. And she is on the good side. I might even put her at great for her point cost. At 50 points, she gives you shape change outwit. Other characters friendly and opposing can't use outwit, safeguard outwit, or protected outwit. So she becomes your only outwit, the only outwit in the game. So neat. When establishing theme teams, everyone becomes Royal Flush. That doesn't mean anything for this because you're not playing any of the other Royal Flush. She does have a mind control, dual target mind control, which she has a +2 attack, and then after resolutions hit, characters modify attack -2 until your next turn. That is neat, but where she really shines is that outwit protection, and she has TK, barrier, and perplex, and traded shape change. So she has a rollout, and no one can outwit her because no one can use outwit but her. So that's why I have her as great. You would try to fit her on a team to give you outwit protection because most of these figures probably aren't outwitting. You obviously don't want to, pair them with outwitters because they wouldn't get to use it. But having access to the barrier, perplex, and TK that you would try to get from Polka Dot Man, but also gain that additional outwit protection is pretty great. And getting through cosmic, power cosmic or cosmic energy for her outwit is pretty great also. So that's why I have her up as great. Getting into the iconics now, Azrael. Once again, I don't get Azrael, so I may be completely wrong with him. I know people can't draw lines of fire to him unless they're higher points. I know he has willpower and he can heal or deal damage, can't be reduced, and then he has a smoke cloud which deals 1 damage at the end of the turn. That's nice. Like, that might be warrant him to be situational, but I don't see it as being kind of a key cog in this wheel. Bane, on the other hand, I do like a lot. Bane at 75 points, you might initially think, okay, that's 4 clicks, but you're gonna heal him. First turn, you probably heal him and go ahead and heal him up some. once he gets past that starting line, and you can, at the beginning, it's a free action to do the heal. And let me bring this over so you can see what I'm talking about. He begins the game on click 7, which is this right here. He has Outwit. When he uses it, draw a line of fire from basically any of your characters, because he has Gotham City Underworld. He begins on click 7. So a TK piece with a cool Outwit from anywhere. Free action. Roll a d6, heal Bane equal to the result. If the result was 3 through 6, give Bane an overdose token. So you roll a 1 or 2, he boops up 1 or 2. Not bad. He may heal past his starting line this way. At the end of your turn, deal 1 unavoidable for each overdose token he has. So if you roll a 1, he doesn't get it. You roll a 3, he goes up to 3, but at the end of your turn, he takes 1. So keep that in mind. But he does get a chance to remove them when he KOs something or succeeds a willpower roll. Willpower is not that difficult to hit sometimes. It's a little situational. But with tarot cards, some other things, if you really want to equip them with, a rollout, give him like a warlock sword to protect him a little bit more, that's fine. But I think you can easily get him up into the 3 or 4 spot and be able to use him for a decent amount. Alright, so to round things up, we've got our last 2 convention exclusives. Those convention exclusives are Batman and Catwoman and Harley Quinn. Once again, punchline, didn't have a token, so I am not adding her. Batman and Catwoman, I think, is situational. I think they're pretty good sidestep combo reflexes. Characters within 6 squares in line of fire can't use sidestep. That's okay. The line of fire part kind of stinks a bit. And they can't be targeted by opposing characters occupying a square on lower elevation. With terrain markers, that does make this better, because you can find a good spot to throw them up on elevated and then run them out. Though they can remove that terrain marker. Outwit and Prob, if they occupy hindering, they may use Outwit and Prob an additional time. That's good. Like 35 points having double Outwit, double Prob. Sidestep with Batman TA. You can't see it here. Batman TA and Batman Enemy. Like, that's great. And that means they would also get whatever benefits you choose with, like, Harley. They'd have Suicide Squad or Mystics. That's what makes them situational. I might even put them up as good. They're not a bad option. Harley, on the other hand, I don't know if I really like the Con Ellie Harley. I want to like her, but I don't think I can. She is only a charge in cap, prob piece. She does have traded Quake, Flurry, but only if adjacent to 2 or more opposing characters. She would, that's enough to maybe put her in situational. You would think about it. Because you're probably getting her within adjacent to 2 or more opposing characters. That's probably not that difficult to do Flurry. She does have like a pseudo stop click. The first time she would be KO'd, you may instead turn her to a click 5 and place her adjacent. Click 5 is just sidestep, willpower, prob, so it's not great, but maybe she could heal up somehow. That would put her on Penetrating Psychic Blast and Knockback. When Harley Quinn makes a range attack after resolution, she may knock back a missed target 2 squares in any duration. That's not bad. Like, this is all a bunch of not bad, which why she is in C. So this is kind of my tier maker, I guess, for Gotham City Modern. This is kind of like, when you're building, you want to really consider these 4 lines. Don't worry about really any of these pieces down here. Don't really worry about much of the situational. It's really these pieces here. But that is only half of the pie, as I mentioned, because we do have this Harley that allows us to add keywords she has, someone who shares a keyword with her, to Gotham City Underworld, which presents us to the next tier maker that I'm doing, which is Gotham City Underworld Harley Quinn Keyword Cheat tier list. Alright, so let's move over now to what I call the Harley's Friends. This is basically the keywords, figures she could bring into the Gotham City Underworld team. This is what really, I think, elevates the team to meta potential. Before this, the figures were fine. You could probably do pretty decently with one of these teams in with those just Gotham City Underworld figures in just pulp, maybe meta, maybe modern. But it's Harley's capabilities of adding someone who shares a keyword that allows the team to flourish even more. So this isn't in a particular order, mostly because the tier maker threw everything in a random order when I put it in. So I'll try to mention which keyword it is. You can assume any Marvel one is clearly going to be scientist. That is really going to be the main thing that enables them. Now, I'm not covering, like we know some of the Sherlock Holmes or some of the Wheels of Vengeance. I'm not going to have any of those in here. This is just current as of now, even though I know I did the Royal Flush Gang. So we're going to kick things off because that is what Tiermaker wanted me to do. Kind of in a little bit of a weird order. We're going to start with, let's see, this should be, goodness, where is she at? Scientist, I believe this is Monica Chang. Here we go, yeah, starting with Avengers 60th, Monica Chang. I'm going to try to go quickly through these because I don't want this video to be a 2-hour video. But basically, Monica Chang, absolutely not. She's a shield person, doesn't work. Iron Man, 60 points. You're not doing for what he gives you, even though he could give adjacent people precision strike. Who cares? Not for 60 points. Jocasta really only works with Ant-Man, so no thank you. Leader is maybe one of the first ones you would consider, because Leader is only 35 points, gives you TK and prob, and has a mind control where you can shoot through almost everything but shoots through everything but blocking, and triple target. And he's got super senses for what it's worth. So he is someone that you would consider as a good option. Not great, not absolutely #1 option, but an okay option. Up next we have Tactical Force. Tactical Force is a big old no. Iron Man. This is Prime Iron Man. Prime Iron Man leadership, willpower. When he uses either and succeeds, remove an action token from a friendly character that shares a keyword with him. That would include any of your Gotham City Underworld people. At the beginning of the game, give each other friendly character an armor token. Friendly characters with an armor token have flight, invulnerability, and when this character is dealt damage after resolutions, remove their armor token. That is interesting. Probably very situational because 100 points is a lot. Like, that's a whole lot to pay for that. So you're probably not doing it. 25 points to give with Spider-Man because you're probably not playing him at 90 or 45. But 25 points to give adjacent people team player, probably not worth it since half of your team already has team player or share the same keyword. Now this would give flexibility to everyone having Spider-Man, so kind of a rollout on a 6. So I don't hate it at 25, you know, the outwit and that, but it's very situational. I really don't see someone playing that. Moonstone is arguably better than Cy Goodman. At 25 points, she would get phasing, teleport, stealth, passenger 3, but only to carry characters that share a keyword with her, regardless of size. And then she has super senses, shape change, team player, and 11 attack. So she can copy Batman enemy and still share that around. Carrying 3 people and a 10 movement is huge. Cy, I believe, is only a 6, maybe a 7. So I actually like her as a good option. If you really want a better taxi, Moonstone is a pretty good taxi for what she does at 25 points. But now we're going to get into the bread and butter pieces, I think, because we're into the chases. As you see here, the MOE chases, there are some flexibility. You can get MOE chases on Gotham City Underworld. There's no way to say any of these are better than others. You probably don't start with Ghost Goblin. You probably don't start with Doom Supreme. But let me look at each one real quick. Make sure there's nothing that's too specific and won't help with Gotham City Underworld. Black Skull gives you leadership, shape change. He's great. You can also keep in mind you can sideline all the other pieces as well. Just keep in mind they will not have the Gotham City Underworld keyword, so you won't get the retals from Harley and Poison Ivy. So Black Skull, absolutely great option. Doom Supreme, he's also got leadership, protected outwits. He kind of helps against outwits, perplex, and probs. Opposing characters within range that were not part of your opponent's starting force can't use protected outwit or safeguard. Sure. So that's okay. I'll put that in A. That does give you Masters of Evil and Minions of Doom team ability options. So just keep that in mind. Kid Thanos, I'll put as an S because he is also a passenger, like a transporter. So 4 passenger is pretty good. Pretty good. Ghost Goblin, I'm gonna put kinda as an A. He's good, but you don't start with him, so you don't really need him to have it. And then, of course, Inquisitor I'm putting at A, because Iron Inquisitor is amazing. Then we move on to Superior Iron Man, the LE, the play-at-home kit. No thanks. Hulk, same thing. While they do kind of interesting things, I don't think they do anything worth taking this one spot for. Ant-Man is probably a no at 25. He could make one of your characters giant or tiny, but I don't know if that's worth it for 25 points. Iron Doom, as cool as it would be, 125 points is way too much. Same is going to be said for Iron Man and War Machine. You literally can't play it with the core 2 pieces, so no thank you. We are now moving down into Avengers Forever. I see now. It started with Avengers 60. It went in alphabetical order. Now I get it. Iron Man, no thank you. Wonder Man, both of them, no thank yous. Big ol' no thank yous. Blue Marvel, I will put up as an A for Pulp. Very good for Pulp. Probably one of the better pieces you could choose for Pulp. If you want to hear more about that, listen to the latest episode of G-Wiz podcast. Latest Heroclix Friday version. Up next, we have Invincible Ant-Man. I actually kind of like Invincible Ant-Man. Having ants and plants kind of seems funny. So I'll put him in the good. He's not bad to play. He's honestly a solid piece. And being able to have robot ant bystanders out there with your plants, there could be something there with that. Up next is Claw. Claw is terrible. No thank you. Red Skull, as much as you probably want Red Skull to work because he does do interesting things, that's a no thank you. Hulk, way too many points to play. Same with Iron Man, these 200 points, don't even think about it. You could play with Thanos, but then it would literally be Thanos and Harley Quinn. Why would you do that? You would play with the super rare Harley Quinn instead, and then it would not be Gotham City Underworld. Kang is interesting because he could throw out bystanders. He could phase, move 5 or less, make an attack. That's interesting. 100 points is a little hard to stomach for what he does. He doesn't do enough. Iron Hammer is an interesting piece, one that's kind of always been a fringe meta piece. I will put it up here, probably ahead of definitely ahead of Invincible Ant-Man, just because of his potential at 100 points. At 100 points, you could be doing some nifty things of dealing some damage with the plants and with him, but it's probably very fringe. He's probably not likely to be the one that you're going to play. Arachnite is going to be S tier. I think 100 point Arachnite is incredibly good on its own, but the fact that you can equip him with Soul Sword, take him out there with some plants, they can't just go straight for Arachnite. The fact that he'll be able to mastermind to Kite Man is huge. gives him a little bit more durability, even though he kind of doesn't need it anymore. Arachnite is low-key very, very good right now because the all-black the Necro Sword is gone. So keep that in mind. Little Monster's too many points to be interesting. You're not really shooting a lot with the team, so doing his little gamma grenade is probably not happening, so I'm going to put that as a D. Don't try to play with him. Invincible, Ant-Man, same thing, not that great. There's better pieces for 50 points. Black Panther, Kang, same thing, not that great. MODOK I might put as a situational. I know he has a mission point thing. You can ignore that. Effectively, I'm looking at... actually, you know what? No, MODOK's a no. More that I look at it, the more that it's a big old no. Just not good enough. So now we're going to swap over, because this is an alphabetical order, and I was not going to take the time to try to fix all of that. We are now swapping over to Batman Family, is what some of these are going to be. Batman Family for Batman Team Up gets you Robin, which Robin, 25 points, low-key, not that bad. 25 points for a leadership, an outwit, and Teen Titans to share around. Not bad. So he kind of goes into a situational, because he's just really just not bad for the points. 4 clicks is in the golden ratio. Batgirl is a 20-point perplexer and gives Batman, has access to Batman Ally team ability, which is nice, but I don't think you ever reach for that, given everything else that could be played. Next we have Batman. This Batman is not good. Don't try to play this Batman. Superman. Superman's okay. I do like the capabilities of, you know, his Arctic Breath. When Superman hits with a range attack, choose one to last until your next turn. A hit target can't use stop. Hit target gains immobile. Much better for Pulp than it is for Modern, though I still think it's a no. I'm not going to try to get cute on some of these. I do think some of these are just a clear no. Just like Wonder Woman. Wonder Woman's a no. You're probably not reaching on... what is that? Bumblebee? Who is that? I think that's Bumblebee. She, I believe, is more from Gotham City. What keyword does she come from? Sorry, I had all of these lined up in order by keyword, and now I'm not seeing... Oh, she is a scientist. I bet you that's what it is. Survey says... Indeed, she is a scientist. She does not do anything special. Same with Gizmo, scientist. No, thank you. Monsieur Mala? Mala? No, thank you. You are not great. Now we got Sportsmaster. Sportsmaster has like pulp potential, but that's really it. Sportsmaster is just not good for 60 points. Peacemaker, on the other hand, is really only a mission point team thing, and you're not going mission points with Gotham City Underworld. This one is interesting, is the Brain. The Brain joins us by Scientist. Like, if you're going for a alpha drop team, which is very possible, right? With Poison Ivy, with Frank the Plant, and maybe even Joker, deceased Joker. The Brain is kind of up there in the alley. The Brain has leadership once per turn for all characters with this trait. The Brain may be given a non-free action after being carried, but only if he shares a keyword with a character that carried him, which he will in this instance, because he'll have Gotham City Underworld. And he has Invulnerability and Mastermind. He's got Outwit, so that gives you 2 more Outwits to kind of put out there to get rid of Super Senses and Shape Change. He can't be equipped because he's tiny, so that's something to keep in mind. You can't give him something to make him more of a powerhouse, but even just a improved targeting character's mind control is pretty good. So I'm going to put him up at an A, because I think GCU as a drop, Alpha Strike drop team, he would go on that. I think there is a variant of that that would be just good. Sinestro, this version of it, while he would get the Sinestro ring for free, this one is just not good enough. It doesn't do enough for me at 75 points to be relevant. Now, I know Injustice League could be decent, but I don't think... It's just not quite there. Batman, having the Bat Belt, 60 points, charge. At the end of your turn, you may place Batman in a square of hidden terrain within range and line of fire. He has Empower, Outwit, and Perplex. Honestly, that's not bad. He ignores characters and elevation for movement purposes. That's honestly not bad. It's enough to be situational, I think. Because honestly, that's just not terrible. However, though, his prime compatriot is clearly an S. If you are short on points and can't hit some of these powerhouses we're getting to, like you can't fit Arachnite or the MOE chases, I feel like Prime Batman is up there. He joins via the Gotham City keyword. He will join with the Bat Belt and the Green Lantern ring. And he has the Green Lantern team ability. That gives you the movability to get across the map and to drop constructs. So you could easily not play the Brain, or was it the Brain? Did I just make it? Yeah, the Brain. And instead play Batman to be your drop-off team, because he can run over with your team or carry everyone over, drop a green chainsaw, and then happy day, let's go to town. He also gets Smoke Cloud as free, and then opposing characters adjacent to Smoke Cloud can't use improved movement abilities and must break away, blah, 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 blah. And an Outwit for what it's worth. So very, very good, especially for just 25 points. He is definitely like one of the key pieces that you want to try to play with. But if you've got a little bit more points and you don't want to play him, you don't want to play like one of the MOE chases, you want a little bit more firepower, I think Prime Wonder Woman is definitely up there. I would argue better than Blue Marvel and the Brain, but maybe behind the MOE chases. She also comes with Utility Belt and the Green Lantern ring. However, she does not have the Green Lantern team ability, so she doesn't have that part going for her. But when a friendly standard character would be KO'd by an opposing effect after resolution turn Wonder Woman to click 1, she has Enhancement. She's got Running Shot for 5 with a 6 range dual target pen psi. She's got Defend, a 19 Defend, so being able to carry her over and giving all of your GCU people Defend is really good. And she can't be outwitted. She's got Cosmic Energy. So very solid piece. May see a re-emergence thanks to GCU. Up next is Batman, who joins us via Gotham City. This Batman's okay. I think he's good because he does... Adjacent friendly characters on their starting clicks take a maximum of 1 damage from close attacks. That's fine. He's got Perplex. He's a decent attacker. He's good, but not necessarily great. He does give you access to Batman Ally TA and Police TA, so not bad. Robin, I don't think I would really reach for, because you'd have to play a Batman, so I think he is a no-go. Getting into some of the legacy from that set, you have L001 Batman, who honestly isn't that great. For 30 points, he could give... When Batman carries, carried characters have Batman TA until your next turn. That's okay, but he doesn't really do much else, so I would say no go. Commissioner Gordon, I think, is a very interesting one. I think Commissioner Gordon's great, simply because he has TK, and then TK is free, but only to target another friendly character that shares a keyword with him, so obviously he will share a keyword. He joins a team via Gotham City. So having TK, Barrier, and Leadership for 30 points, a free TK, mind you, is very useful because you're going to be tight on actions. Because you're dropping a plant that's going to flurry, you're going to be moving. You don't want to end up without actions, and having a free TK in a world of limited free TK is pretty good. Nightwing is really a no play of 50 points. He does some interesting things, but not enough to stand out. Atrocitus gives us the rare opportunity to play Red Lantern Corps. that's not enough to really say no. But adjacent opposing characters can't use stop and can't be healed. In a world of healing, that's enough to maybe make him situational. Probably not. Like, very much not. But in the current meta with a lot of healing, it's kind of a maybe. The Chief is more of... That one's a little tricky, because you would give someone Doom Patrol and Outsiders, which is nice. He can move Doom Patrol, but he really... This one's a little harder to use. This turn uses Outsiders to target themselves. They have Safeguard Outwit. I'd say a no, just because it's a very convoluted, and I don't think the payoff is going to be worth it. Batman Beyond, as cool as I wish Batman Beyond was, that's a no. Same with L052B Batman, just not enough there. World's Finest, I think, goes up as an A, because 60-point World's Finest is really good in general. Being able to make multiple attacks, make an attack, but only to target an opposing character since your last turn. Since your last turn, made an attack or used Outwit. Absolutely. When he would take damage from opposing characters, roll d6, 4 through 6, he just takes 1 damage. And he's got Combat Reflexes, Invincible, Super Senses, but increases the result for each action token, and Protected Outwit on that. So he's got a lot going for 60 points. And if he's 60 points and he gets taken out, you could play like Deceased Superman at 60 points or something to come out on their last non-KO click and heal them. So definitely an A piece. I could see you building around this on a GCU team. Green Lantern at 20 points, join us at Gotham City, is also going to be another A. It's the cheapest thing outside of Prime Batman, if you're already using a Prime, to get you the Green Lantern Core Ring, which is pretty good. Let's be real here. Also, Leadership. And a 17 Defend. That's not for nothing with some of these cats and if you play the cats from Catwoman and some other stuff. So definitely an A piece. Now we're moving on to the Iconics. Some of these are definitely better than others. I'm not really pushing it for slapping Batman. Not really pushing it for slapping Robin. Both are kind of meh. The next one is Steel. This is from the Death of Superman, joining us as a scientist. Steel is interesting, but definitely not good enough. Cyborg Superman, while you may think of him as Scarab 1.0 or 1.2 or whatever, you need someone with Superman ally, and there's nothing on this team but him, so not gonna work. Superboy, no thank you, not that great. The one I will say out of the Iconics that is interesting is Batman. I do like this Batman. Leadership Perplex, he's 60 points. When he uses Leadership Succeeds, he gets to make one of those 4 bystanders, which are very good bystanders. Also, close attacks deal penetrating damage and can't be evaded. So that's great. When an opposing character that can't use Batman heals after resolutions, you may heal Batman 1. When Batman would be KO'd except by this trait, instead turn him to click 8 and place him on the card. At the beginning of the turn, if Batman is on this click and no other friendly characters have Batman ally, which, if you're playing this team, you're just copying Batman ally. So you're going to have 2 to 3 people that probably have it. He would just go on his click 8, and he'll be back. So I think that's a very good piece. I'd put it above Leader. I don't know if it's one you really want to try to fit, but it's one I could see some success. I think we're about halfway done. Let's power through this a little bit. This is one of the Spider-Man. That's the wrong Spider-Man. It's the back one is the one that I needed. The 002 Spider-Man. Either way, not good enough to play. Now we're into Notorious. Lex Luthor is definitely a potential good piece because he gives you access to Orange Lantern, the core. He's a leadership, and he gives everyone Superman enemy. So like that is great because they'll all share a keyword with him. He comes over thanks to the Legion of Doom and Scientist keyword. Giving everyone Superman enemy is great. That's a ton of outwits to have. Just a ton. Next up is Batman. This Batman is kind of interesting, but not enough to try to play. You're not you're not doing all this for an assassin. That one was easy. You're not doing it for a Black Manta goon. That one was also easy. Let's just say no to Bizarro. We've gone through these on different episodes. No to Bizarro. Solomon Grundy is a big no as well. These are just not good pieces in general. Up next is Grodd. Grodd is coming from Legion of Doom and is not great. Sinestro, same thing. As much as I like Sinestro, just not good enough. Brainiac is sort of interesting, but ultimately I don't feel like it is enough. You have a leadership on the team already, so you don't really need him at 30 points. Sorry, Sinestro. Sorry, Brainiac. We're able to kind of zoom through some of these. Gentleman Ghost, I've already mentioned, is bad. Mirror Master is worse. Captain Cold, don't get me started. Black Manta's interesting if you had more Dolphin characters, but without Dolphin characters, it's not nearly as interesting, so don't reach for him. I did mention Deadshot and the Pulp version, so I will give him situational because of Pulp. Next up, we have Amanda Waller. She's probably not worth it. You bring her in with Arkham Asylum. She gives you leadership out with Perplex for 40 points. That's not bad, but there's better pieces that kind of give you all of that, so I'm not reaching for it. Mr. Freeze, they still don't have a good meta of Mr. Freeze. You're probably not playing Strix or Talon because you're not playing the Assassin trait. Cosmic King, I believe this is Cosmic King. Am I right? It is. Coming at us thanks to Scientist is just not good. Black Adam, I think, is, well, unfortunately, being 200 points. Can I see him at 100 points? Maybe. Maybe situationally at 100 points. Because that Mystics is kind of nutty. Give him a Soul Sword, perhaps. Could make him pretty dangerous to face. Next up is Toyman, coming to us thanks to Scientist. He's good on the ratios. 7 clicks for 60 points. Empower Enhancement. He's got a cool little mind control thing. At the beginning of the game, if you weren't first player, you may unequip an equipment from the opposing character and equip it to Toyman. That's interesting. I'm going to put that as situational. He also has Superman Enemy, which is great to copy. I'm putting that as situational purely because if we get back more objects that are just too strong. If you see you win roll and you realize I'm not going first. I decide I'm going to take map because you realize they have one ring and that ring would be the barrier you can't get through. Then, you know, that might be a reason that you have Toyman on the team is to be able to get through that. 60 points is a lot though, so it's not great. Robin King is not good. Don't try to play Robin King. Batman though. The unfortunate side of playing this Batman is that you can't... you don't have anyone making grave markers. He's really the only Black Lantern you have. He joins us via the Gotham City ability, Gotham City keyword. However, at 40 points, you could do way worse. So I'm probably putting him at good. He's good. Without Necron, he can't heal, but you don't really want him to heal because you want him at the sidestep flurry. And being able to outwit, but then target all opposing characters occupying any friendly grave marker, maybe. So I'm putting that good, but it's honestly not amazing. Speaking of Gotham City, we also get the deceased Batman. That Batman is not good. Do not try to play it. Owlman joins us as a Scientist. Owlman, sidestep, he can use it twice per turn, but only if there's more action tokens, Super Sense, Willpower, and he can do multiple outwits. For 25 points and Crime Syndicate, you could do worse. Definitely situational. I don't think you try to fit him on the team just to, like, you don't spend the one slot for it. But there might be a situation where that's a better 25 points than maybe if you're using a Prime, better 25 points than Batman. Phantasm is neat, but it's an assassin target trait, so probably no. Man-Bat, they gave him flight. He's been upgraded. It was a mistake that he didn't have flight. He's okay, but you know what? Not good enough. Alright, up next we've got the Spider-Man Beyond Amazing figures. Spider-Man, no go. Spider-Man, no go. These aren't very good. I'll spare you some of the things. They're the commons and uncommon, not very great. Morbius, as funny as that would be, is a no. Beetle is a no. And my goodness, if you're trying to add Lizard, it's great for your kitchen table, but probably not good for anything else. Now we got Prime Spider-Man, who's definitely S tier. Definitely one of the ones you want to try to bring in. Maybe the de facto one. At 80 points, he just brings a ton. First turn, you can move him, so he gets an action token. Second turn, you could just carry him across with Ivy, and then he'll be able to take a costed action. He's part of your drop ship to where you want to just play him. He's incredibly good. So yeah, if anything, he's probably at the top of the list, next to all of these. Even though I think Batman's pretty good too. But either way, by far that Spider-Man is one of the best, if not the best, figure for you to go through, or to add to GCU, thanks to Scientist. Speaking of Scientist, Doc Ock is interesting, but not good enough. Iron Spider, this is not the great Iron Spider, the Prime one. If the Prime one was legal, which it isn't, I would say yes to that. This one is a no-go. Same with Vulture. Vulture is not very good, so don't try to reach for him. SPDR, no SPDR. Same with Green Goblin. Green Goblin, at the beginning of the game, you may replace up to 5 other friendly characters with the same number of characters. They all must have Sinister Syndicate, so no, that's a no-go there. So, no thank you. Up next, we have 200 points Spider-Man. 200 is too much. We've got Carnage Iron Man. Man, we're getting down to slim pickings. Carnage Iron Man, kind of interesting because of the healing aspect. Kind of a ranged attacker, but could also just get destroyed very quickly. Iron Gwen is not that much better. Could get you in power enhancement, but for 4 clicks for 50 points, that's below the golden ratio for me. So that's a that's a no-go. Even though she will have prob. So either way, no. Better access elsewhere. The play-at-home Spider-Man Hypersonic Perplex is neat, but not good enough. Spider-Man, the other one, Negative Zone Spider-Man, 75 points. No, thank you. This Spider-Man is the starter set Spider-Man. He has Scientist. Both of them aren't good, though. The B side is Scientist. In Cap, when he uses it, they get Earthbound neutralized. He has hypersonic super senses, super duper senses because of Spider-Man TA, and Empower. That's not bad, but I don't think you reach for him given all the other options up here. I think we could probably breeze through some of these other legacy figures. This Spider-Man is a big no. The backpack one is not good for 30 points. Though he could get on your team for free, because his own thing is when establishing themed teams, choose a named keyword that a character on your starting force has. Spider-Man gains that keyword, so he could kind of join you anyway without Harley being involved. We have then Miguel O'Hara, Spider-Man 2099 essentially. Definitely not good enough, unfortunately. That leaves us with some of the OP kit and X of Swords. Batman, I'm kind of on the fence of Batman. 75 points is a lot. But he does open access to Dolphin. So first off, he has the trait. When Batman would be KO'd, you may instead replace him with a character named Batman. Turn that character to its last non-KO click, then roll d6, heal half the result. Character can't be healed otherwise this game. So you could potentially bring in a... Black Lantern Batman if you really wanted to. That's actually not bad. Friendly characters that... He has a trait. Friendly characters that share a keyword with Batman have Dolphin. Free, generate a water terrain marker in a square within range and line of fire. That's good too. And then power action once per game, unequip an equipment from a character within range and line of fire, then equip it to Batman. So I'll put him up at situational. He's also detective, so you can work with some mystery cards there. He's honestly not bad at 75 points. 7 clicks, that's a little bit below the golden ratio, but honestly, I don't hate it. And now I'm kind of wishing I had picked one up. Did I pick one up? I don't think I got a Mermaid Batman, so maybe that is going to come back to bite me. Up next is Black Knight coming at us as a scientist. No thank you. Haro at 35 points I think is interesting. He is 35, mastermind toughness, free, choose an adjacent friendly character. That character can use impervious until your next turn. He's got sidestep. He has a power action, generate a test subject bystander, max 2. This turn that character has autonomous attack symbol. They are a 6 movement, 10 attack, 17 defense, 2 empower. I guess I could just show you. They've got charge, empower. Those are pretty nice to have with your plants, giving another empower. I don't hate it. So I'm going to put him up to here. Giving impervious and giving a more pogs is not a bad thing. Mr. Fantastic. When Mr. Fantastic uses Outwit as a power, after resolutions, another friendly character may make a close attack targeting the chosen character. That's all neat, but not anything you're reaching for. And then finally, we have the X of Swords people. First up is WizKid, I believe. And let's see, what does WizKid do? 45 points, passenger 0. At the beginning of your turn, you may place WizKid in an adjacent square. Choose an adjacent friendly character that has armor or robot that has an attack, blah, 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 blah. Enhancement, Outwit, Perplex, definitely not good enough. And then finally, we have, we have 5 left. We have Legacy Forge. Not worth it for 45 points, so 7 clicks for 45 is kind of nice. I'm not reaching for Forge. And then the OP kit, we have Nanny, which is not a good figure. We have Sinister, which I don't mind Sinister, actually, at 45. I think he could be a potentially good pick. Sinister's going to has fallen off due to losing Moira, but having Rally with a 1 die is still good. And the fact that you're attacking with plants with Flurry, you could get those Rally die pretty quickly, I think. The fact that he also gets leadership Outwit, shape change, and whatnot, I think he's pretty good. There's probably better options. But if you want to be more defensive, I don't think he's a bad choice. Finally, we have Captain Avalon. Not a fan of Captain Avalon, to be honest. When a friendly character makes a close attack, that character can use toughness. Ooh. I'm going to put him as a situational. 45 points for our leadership. He will get a sword for 5 points. But giving your plants toughness is not bad. Not great. There's much better options here. But, like I said, situational. And then finally, the other Captain Avalon, who I don't believe is as good. Yeah, not nearly as good. So, fortunately, he has to start his own role. So, that's going to do it for the Gotham City Underworld meta tier maker. I hope this was at least a good starting point for you if you're building with Gotham City Underworld, to keep in mind who all is capable of joining and who all with the keyword already is good. I think it is definitely a keyword that has a lot of possibility because of this page right here, the tier maker that you see before you. I think it's definitely got some possibility. I will go ahead and say I don't think playing 2 Harleys is the way. That's 100 points to give up to try to play 2 of these. So you have to really pick and choose. Once again, I think Spider-Man, one of the MOE chases, is probably best. If you don't have much points, I think Green Lantern Batman is an excellent option. But if you're going more for a drop attack team and you just can't fit Spider-Man on, don't forget the Brain exists. Brain is an excellent choice to be going in there and mind controlling. Don't forget, if you need a free TK, you've got Gordon. She's great to give you constructs and some decent damage. Or if you want some more pogs and you want to try to hit some leaderships and do some things for someone who isn't going to get KO'd. Iconic's Batman is really great from the Nightfall set, Iconic set. So you could really do well with all of these. Go ahead and get out there and play. I know I certainly am. Because honestly, in a world with Carnage Silver Surfers, Dark Phoenixes, Black Lanterns, it's a tough environment to get into until we get more pieces. I think this is enough for Gotham City Underworld to kind of surprise some people, win some tournaments, and do some good. Well, do some bad being Gotham City Underworld, but do bad well, I guess? Yeah, sure, we'll say that. But thank you guys for watching. I hope this helps you build Gotham City Underworld. I'll try to think of another keyword. Hey, listen, comment in the video below what keyword you want me to do next. It needs to be one that actually has potential, so don't throw like Excalibur at me and say, hey, give me a tier maker, because that'll be like a 5-minute video, which might be okay. Might be less than 5 minutes, to be honest, but throw in the comments below what keyword you want me to do next. Talk about what figures I think have meta potential to be whether pulp or modern, even though I mostly talked modern here. But yeah, thank you guys for watching, and I will see you guys next time.